One wrong move, and the king would die. A simple man got the task to protect the king from Absalom. No sword, no army, just his words. To save David, he pretended to be one of Absalom's men. At last, he convincingly fooled him and led Absalom into his own trap. Men were coming to kill the king. That was the plan from the very start. To take David's head, tear the kingdom out of his hands, and leave nothing of his rule behind. And the only thing standing between that plan and the king's death was one quiet servant with no sword and no army at all. His name was Hushai. He was known as the king's friend. It was a title other men spent their whole lives trying to earn. He had no riches and no soldiers under his command. What he had was something harder to take away: the trust of a king. Hushai did not know yet that the ground under the whole kingdom was already cracking, and that soon his job would be to stop a murder before it happened. For weeks, a young man had been standing at the gates of the city every morning. He greeted every person who walked by. He listened to their problems. He told them that if he were judge, things would be fairer. The people began to love him. And far away, in the hills of Hebron, he was quietly gathering men who would call him king in his father's place. His name was Absalom. He was David's own son. The news hit the palace like fire spreading through dry grass. A runner ran in, gasping. Absalom had declared himself king. All of Israel was turning to follow him, and everyone in that palace understood exactly what this meant. Absalom was not coming to share the throne. He was coming to take David's head and rule alone. Absalom was not doing this by himself. Behind him stood a man with one of the sharpest minds in the kingdom. A man David himself used to trust completely. His name was Ahithophel. Without him, the rebellion would have fallen apart in days. With him, the plan to kill David had real strategy behind it, and it was already moving fast. David did not stay to find out how bad things had become. He gathered his family and his servants, and within hours, the king of Israel was walking out of his own city on foot, knowing that somewhere behind him, men were already planning his death. His guards marched with him, their faces grim, their hands never far from their weapons. Hushai walked with him. His clothes were torn. Dust covered his head, a sign of deep sadness. He followed his king up the Mount of Olives, weeping as he climbed, ready to go wherever David went, even into the wild country with nothing. At the top of the mountain, David stopped. Hushai stood in front of him. David looked at him for a long moment. "If you come with me, you will only slow me down."
"Hushai, my friend, I need you. I am here, my king. Go to Absalom, be my eyes. I will not fail you."
"If you do that, you can work against Ahithophel's plans for me." Hushai understood right away what David was really asking. He was not being sent away to safety. He was being sent back to stop the very men trying to kill the king. And he would have to do it standing right beside them, smiling, while they planned David's death in front of him. David told him, "Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, are still there. Tell them anything you hear in the palace. Their sons, Ahimaaz and Jonathan, will bring the message to me." Hushai turned around and walked back down the mountain. He was walking away from his king and straight back into the city he had just escaped, back toward the very men who wanted David's head on a spear. While Hushai walked back into the city, David kept moving the other way, deeper into the wild country. On that road, a man ran out from a small village, shouting curses and throwing stones at David, screaming that he was a murderer who deserved to lose everything. At that very same time, on the road into Jerusalem, Hushai walked calmly through the gates, wearing the face of a loyal friend, straight toward the men trying to put David in the ground. Absalom had just entered the city himself. For one moment, Hushai and Ahithophel stood close enough to look at each other. Neither man said a word, but Ahithophel's eyes stayed on Hushai a moment too long, almost as if something told him this man was not as loyal as he claimed to be. Hushai called out, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Absalom turned and looked at him. He did not smile. His eyes moved slowly over Hushai's torn clothes, his dusty head. Guards stood close by, ready to strike at the wrong answer. "Is this your loyalty to your friend?" Absalom asked. "Why didn't you go with David?" No one moved. For a moment, everything hung on what Hushai would say next. If Absalom did not believe him, there would be no second chance. Hushai did not look away. "No," he said. "Whoever the Lord and the people of Israel have chosen, I will follow. I served your father. Now I will serve you." Absalom studied him a little longer. Then he believed him. Hushai was welcome to Absalom's inner circle, given a seat among the men deciding the future of the kingdom, while his true loyalty stayed with the king they were trying to destroy. Every day after that, he sat in rooms where other men spoke openly about ending David's life, and every day he had to nod along as if he wanted the same thing they did. Soon, the most dangerous night of Hushai's life began. This was the night the rebellion would decide exactly how David was going to die. Ahithophel stood before Absalom with a plan already in his mind. "Give me 12,000 men," he said. "I will go out tonight after David. I will catch him while he is tired and afraid, and everyone with him will run. I will kill the king myself, alone, and bring everyone else back to you." It was a plan built entirely around one single goal: David's death that very night, before he had any chance to prepare a defense. The plan pleased Absalom right away. It pleased every man in the room. It was fast and simple. David, tired and unguarded out in the open country, would have no time to escape it. Then Absalom paused. "Call Hushai too," he said. "Let us hear what he thinks." Hushai walked in, already knowing exactly what this meant. If Ahithophel's plan went forward tonight, David would be dead by morning, and the entire reason David had sent him back into this city would die with him. Absalom asked him plainly, "Should we do as he says? If not, speak." Hushai chose his next words carefully, because the king's life now depended entirely on what he said in the next few seconds. One wrong word, one plan that sounded weaker than Ahithophel's, and Absalom would send his men out that very night with nothing standing in their way. "This time," he said, "Ahithophel's advice is not good." The room went silent. Every eye turned to him. "You know your father and his men," Hushai said, facing Absalom. "They are strong fighters, and right now their hearts are bitter, like a bear that has lost her cubs. Your father is a man of war. He will not be sleeping out in the open, where 12,000 men could easily find him. He has likely already hidden himself somewhere no one would think to look." He let his words sink in before going on. "If your men attack first, and even a few of them fall, word will spread that your army has been beaten. then even your bravest soldiers will lose their courage. Everyone in Israel knows your father is a fighter, and that his men are brave." Then Hushai offered something else. Not Ahithophel's quick strike in the dark, but something much bigger. Something that would still end with David's death, but in a way far slower, far louder, and far more tempting to a young man who wanted to be remembered as a conqueror. "Gather all of Israel to you, from one end of the land to the other, as many as the sand on the shore. Lead the army yourself. Then we will find David wherever he is and fall on him like dew falling on the ground. Not one man with him will survive, and if he runs into a city, we will bring ropes and pull it down stone by stone." It was a plan that put Absalom at the center of his own story, leading a massive army himself, instead of waiting at home while someone else brought him his father's head. Absalom and everyone in the room agreed at once. "Hushai's advice is better than Ahithophel's," Absalom said. None of them understood what had really just happened. It was not only Hushai's clever words that won the room. It was the Lord working through those words to undo Ahithophel's plan completely, so that the disaster meant for David would fall on Absalom instead. The one night that could have ended with David's head taken in the dark had just slipped away, and no one in that room realized it. Only one man understood exactly what had happened. Ahithophel said nothing. He watched the room praise another man's plan over his own. He stood up, walked out, went home, saddled his donkey, and rode to his own town. There he put his affairs in order. Then he took his own life. Hushai had no time to think about what had happened to him. He was still standing inside a city that would kill him the moment they learned the truth. And the mission was not finished. David was still in danger, and the clock had already started counting down again. He went quickly to find Zadok and Abiathar the priests and told them everything. What Ahithophel had planned and what he had said instead. "Send word to David right now," he told them. "Tell him not to stay the night at the river crossing. He must cross the Jordan, or he and everyone with him will be caught and killed." The priest's sons, Ahimaaz and Jonathan, were waiting just outside the city, careful not to be seen coming or going. A servant girl carried the message to them in secret, slipping out through the back streets where no guard would think to stop her. But a boy spotted them and ran to tell Absalom. The two men did not wait to see what would happen. They ran to a house in a nearby village and climbed down into a well in the yard before anyone could catch sight of them. The woman of the house worked quickly, covering the opening and scattering grain over the top, so nothing looked out of place at all. When Absalom's men came running up the road looking for them, she answered without hesitation, her voice calm. "They were here," she said, "but they crossed the stream already." The men searched the house. They searched the yard. They found nothing. Once the searchers were gone, Ahimaaz and Jonathan climbed out and ran through the night to find David. "Get up," they told him. "Cross the Jordan now." And they told him everything Ahithophel had planned against his life. David did not wait. That same night, he and everyone with him crossed the Jordan River. By sunrise, not one of them remained on the other side, and the plan to catch him in the open country had failed completely. Absalom gathered his army exactly the way Hushai had told him to, as many men as the sand on the shore, and crossed the Jordan after his father, still believing this army would bring him David's death, and the whole kingdom in one stroke. The two armies met in the forest of Ephraim, and there the war that had begun with one single goal, the death of the king, was finally decided. Absalom's men fell before David's soldiers. Absalom himself died there, caught in the branches of a tree as he tried to escape, and the mission that had started with his father's head never reached its end. Far from the battlefield, Hushai heard the news the same quiet way he had done everything else in this story, without a throne, without a sword, without most people ever knowing what he had truly done.